Okay, so we are recording. Hello, Emily.
Hello, Pablo.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I can't complain. It's the end of a Monday. Thank
Oop.
God. Um, do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Sure. I'm Emily Osborne, and I'm 32 years old and a citizen of the world.
What does that mean?
It means that I have a passport from the US and a passport from Honduras, but I have lived less than half my life in either of those countries, both of those countries. So
Wait, you have a Honduras passport?
Mhm.
Why did I not know that?
I don't know. Guess you never asked.
Well, shame on me. Wait, what? So, why do you have one actually?
Because I was born there. When my parents lived in Honduras, I happily came along to join the family.
So, you were born in Honduras.
Hmm.
So, you have a. Obviously, your parents are American,
Yes.
but where do you call home?
Right now I'm called Guatemala home because that's where I've been living for almost 10 years
Wait,
now.
has it been that long?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I've lived in Guatemala the longest of any country. So that's home now.
I think I remember when Robbie was telling me that you were gonna move down there, and I was like, "Whoa, that's fucking awesome!" And that was
Yep.
like 10 years ago. Holy shit!
Yep.
But you're not there right now during this call.
No, I am in South Carolina right now with my dad. I was in Guatemala when the pandemic hit, and so I just buckled down there and worked from home for most of 2020, and then it was just there was no end in sight, and we could sort of see the second wave coming with the holidays. So I decided to. I didn't have health insurance down there, and I'd had an experience of getting really, really super sick. I think it was in October or November, and where I was like, like I could hardly get up to get a glass of water, and I was just realizing like I'm fucking screwed if I were to get COVID and get hospitalized. Like I don't have the support system down there anymore to like take care of me. It's no one else's responsibility and there's no money for it. So I was like, all right, I cannot be in a pandemic right now like this. So I decided to come back to the States, get myself some nice Obamacare. It kicks in next month, and just make sure I can survive this pandemic. And that's, yeah, once I feel either I have a vaccine or things sort of settle down, then I'll probably head back to Guatemala.
So I have so many questions, but I don't even know where to begin. I'll start with the simple. I guess one of the more obvious ones is how has Guatemala handled the pandemic?
I wish I could tell you honestly. It's a mixed bag. I mean, it's a it's the country responded really really well. I'd say at the very beginning. The president the president of Guatemala was sworn in January of 2020. So he just and he was a doctor previously. So in March, when everything sort of just hit the Western world, he was very quick to shut everything down. Have like you basically couldn't leave your house. Like your phone, the networks. Then instead of it, if like here it's Verizon or T-Mobile, instead of saying T-Mobile on your phone, it would say stay in your house, don't leave your
Really?
house. So the message was really strong. He was they shut down like all restaurants, all businesses except for only essential businesses, being like a delivery. Even that took a while for them to even allow delivery at the beginning. Pharmacies, they put restrictions on when you could go, like the markets and the grocery stores. Now that was a really horrible decision, I think, but they put set hours, like you could only go to the public market between the hours of like 5 a.m. and noon or 11, and the grocery stores too. So you'd end up with a lot of chaos of people trying to get their groceries.
Right. Everyone's showing up at the same time fighting for
Yeah,
food.
but like that was good. I mean, that they responded so quickly, and it took a while before the numbers started picking up. But like Guatemala is not set up for that because most people just live from day to day. So the tourism crashed. Everybody, was losing their jobs, and they started doing this thing. I don't know if they've done it in other countries, but they started doing that. Like the people, they were waving white flags. So and the white flag signals hunger, so that you don't have enough to eat. So I live in Antigua, so in a lot of the street corners in Antigua, a lot of street corners in Guatemala City, they were just full of people waving in the street, waving white flags. Half of Guatemala has the highest indigenous population from like Mayan indigenous population of any other Central American country, and that's the population that's the poorest, and they have their like traditional clothing that they wear, and that's who you would see. Like they were really, really suffering and starving, and that's the Guatemala had to reopen. So now the country's getting slammed. Over the last 6 months or so, they've gotten slammed because they can't afford to stay shut down. They have to let people go out and work and try and survive.
Why is it that? Because even in Mexico, I mean, the poorest population is the indigenous people, and then here in the U.S., I mean, we kicked them into reservations, and even now they're the ones getting hit the hardest with COVID. Yep. Why the hell is that? Like, why are people just shitting on indigenous people? I don't know.
I mean, it's systemic racism. It's systemic racism everywhere. People, Caucasians will say, "Oh, but everyone's brown down there," but it's not. Like they're different shades of brown.
Right.
You have your European, Guatemalans, and you have that are very, very almost as as white as me, and sometimes whiter, and then you have your darker skinned indigenous, and that skin body type, and that message is still prevalent there that there's super, super horrible racism. I mean, the country was in a 36-year civil war that they just came out of in the 90s. That was basically the military, powerful elite Guatemalans murdering the indigenous population for 36 years. So it's still a very fresh wound that is impacting the country.
That's so sad. So going back to the handling of the pandemic. So when people went out there and waved a flag, what would happen?
They were asking for help. So begging, basically, asking for, food stuff. So a lot of people that did community organizers and everybody were getting together to get foodstuffs of rice, beans, sugar, everything. And sometimes it was that, sometimes it was money. They're just asking for help to survive. There was one guy that was a couple blocks from my house who was, he'd have a sign asking for work, any work that he could get. People were they take whatever you'll give them, basically.
So the government's not the one going around looking for flags to help, right? It's more of if you see your neighbor,
that's what
flag,
it
help them.
They had the government created, this like, sort of like how here, everybody got their $600 or $1,200 or whatever it was. Here, they also had a family program for money in Guatemala, but it was not a good system. It wasn't very functional. And of course, everybody says it was corrupt and the money didn't go there. So Guatemala got millions of dollars in aid for the pandemic, but that money just sort of disappeared.
Why are Latin American countries so shady?
There was, oh my goodness, people were just anywhere. They were protesting in crowds in Guatemala City a few months ago, and I'm sure they still are, because the Senate Congress voted for the budget for 2021, and they made cuts for food and aid and education and like for the country, and they raised the lunch, like the amount of money that the senators and congressmen get for lunch when they're in session.
Jesus
So like
Christ.
things like that, where it was like the country was just like, what the fuck? So they were in the streets,
They don't even hide it.
calling for the president to resign, for everyone to get out to resign, and yeah, it got tense.
That's crazy. And I'm guessing the medical infrastructure in Guatemala, how is that? Because I mean, you were saying that you don't have insurance, so you
Right.
couldn't go to the doctor.
It's yeah. I mean, I can go, but
It's almost like the
they
U.S., right? You
they
can
don't
pay
they
the
don't have beds,
price.
except that they don't have beds. Most of the places, like the private hospitals, you have to pay several $1,000s to like deposit to get a bed, and then you also you have to pay for all the medication. So sometimes if they'll say that they don't have a certain thing, so then people I know of people close to me who've had to go and fundraise to try and get medication for their loved ones, because the hospital won't give it to them. And and that's if you are in a position to be able to get it. Whereas we mentioned, this country is really poor, so most people can't pay to do that. So those horror scenes that you've heard about, of people just sort of lying in the streets, lying in the seat. Another one of the employees from where I work, he got it, and he was in the hospital for a few days, but the closest they could get him was a chair. He was never able to get a bed, and then they eventually just sent him home because his entire family had it, and he luckily recovered. But like he was a 65-year-old guy with diabetes, and he couldn't get a bed.
That's
So
unbelievable.
yeah.
Well, isn't that? I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but that's kind of the whole argument, right? Like, oh, well, socialist medicine will lead you to, not being able to like take care of everyone. But it sounds like you guys have the opposite of socialist medicine, and you guys have it even worse.
If you can pay for it, then you'll get some care. But if you can't pay for it, then you're in trouble.
At least here, they kind of have to take you in, even if you're dirt broke. That's wild.
Yep.
But are there pockets of the population that don't believe in the virus, that are fighting,
There's
all
tons
of these?
of people that don't take it seriously. Oh my goodness.
Well, do they not take it serious
They-
because they don't really care, or is it because they're like, oh, a mask won't do anything, it's all a hoax?
You get a mix. It's like everywhere. I remember seeing early on this kid on the news, and he was from one of the, like he was a kid that worked on, his family they did work on the farm. So they're talking about how the mask mandate, it was difficult for them because they were breathing with the mask all day, and they were getting sick from the mask, and they couldn't breathe with the mask on. So they didn't want to do that. But then is on but I think since then, I think most people have acknowledged that the mask works. I mean, it's the whole country wears them. A few times I saw people without masks, and they were generally tourists. They were the ones not wearing masks. All the Guatemalans have accepted that they need to do that. What you will get is the spoiled rich kids. That caused a big scandal. That there was a party of a bunch of the elite, like wealthy 20-year-olds or whatever, that had like a rager at the same time and they just got, like, their party got crashed, and then the police just like escorted them home safely. And then this was happening in the news at the same time that there were these women who'd gotten arrested and being fined ridiculous amounts of money that they didn't have because they were late in taking they're selling vegetables in the market, and they missed the deadline. Like, they were supposed to be out of the street by 11:30, and they were late getting home, and so they'd gotten arrested and were facing this huge fine. So it was like this big uproar in the country of this, privilege that
Right.
you have this ridiculous, this rager without masks, drinking, partying late into the night, way past curfew, that they get safely escorted home, as opposed to these women who are just trying to provide for their families getting fined that they couldn't pay. So
Yeah, that just
The injustice is everywhere.
I know it's so bad. It's so bad. Even here, I mean, uh
Hmm.
yeah. I see on the news all the time of whether it's a mayor or a governor or a politician or somebody hosting a party or going out and doing something that they already
Hmm.
told everyone not to do, but they're doing it
Hmm.
themselves, and
Yep.
all of their friends, they're all doing it too. So,
Yep.
uh, it's sad.
Very.
But what can you do other than stay educated, try to vote, and I guess I don't know.
Try and keep people straight.
Yeah, definitely very overwhelming, which is why a lot of times people just don't even bother, right?
Hmm.
That whole like, why even vote? Does it matter? Blah blah blah. I don't know. Anyways, so how's it feel to be back in the U.S.? How long have you been back?
I've been back for about 6 weeks now, and
How's it
it's
feel?
good. It's good. Yeah,
Not sure if that's very convincing.
no, it has been. I mean, it's been interesting because I haven't. I'm a very independent person. I consider myself an independent person, and so the first month I was at my sister's house and just you know trying to sort of make myself fit into her life. And the last 2 weeks I've been staying with my dad's and sort of fitting myself into their lives. And whenever Robbie's got a day off, I'm like, for my brother, like being like, hey, like, can I have borrow a few minutes of your time, an hour here, like because I have like no other life here other than work. So yeah, I have been taking advantage of the trails. I love being able to go out by myself with my dog and go on trails here because that's something I cannot do in Guatemala safely. Um, so I've been definitely taking advantage. It's just been a mindset thing. This last weekend was the first time I think that I had a bit of a like a I don't know, like sort of hitting me a bit of like this isn't my life. I've sort of taken a break from what I would say is my life. I know this is my life, but you know what I mean. Like I don't know when watching the news and seeing that vaccines are not on track, that it could be in the fall before I or later before I get a vaccine. Um, things aren't getting that's for the U.S. Like things, I don't know how things are going to get any better anytime soon in Guatemala either. So sort of having this open-ended thing of like, so at what point am I going to be able to get some semblance of my life back? And I was definitely fighting the whole pity party thing of like, oh no, misery. But it was just changing that mindset to say, hey, like I'm healthy, I'm someplace with people that I love and that care about me, and I can take advantage of where I'm at. Like this has been a super, and I think a lot of people have been experiencing it. Of it's been a year for really like that whole inward thing of like I'm an introvert, so it has
Hmm.
actually been very easy for me to be by myself all the time, and I have not minded it for the most part. I do have my concerns of like longer term of like, am I going to forget how to socialize and how to be around people?
Right.
But it has been. I've just been trying to take advantage of this time because I don't think, I don't know. I don't think every time, I can't think of even in history a time where countries have just sort of experienced something like this all over, like the entire world together, a trauma together that we're all going to have, come like
Well, it's very weird.
it's very weird. Like it doesn't matter if I'm in here or if I'm in South Africa or somebody in South Korea or wherever, like we're all experiencing the exact same thing. And that is something that will bring us all together. I mean, we're people, bizarre way. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if we're not exactly be singing Kumbaya, but like at the tail end of this, I think people, we're going to have their own experiences of this and be able to, like, like shared trauma is a big deal for people being able to connect and recognizing humanity in each other. So I'm hopeful that, some good things will come out of this year, despite all of the shit show, darkness and suffering.
No, yeah, it's definitely a global event. Um, but it's weird how I don't know, even within one country, everything can be so fractured, or everybody just comes together, right?
Hmm.
I think what was it like New Zealand or something? I don't know. Some country out there is like declaring themselves pretty much COVID free. Um,
New Zealand was until like 2 days ago. They've got one. They got one.
they're like, oh my god, there's a spike. We
Yeah.
got one.
Yep.
No, it's just weird. I don't know. It. I get it that good things will come out of this. I'm sure there will be.
But I also feel like it's a little naive. After I say it out loud, I also hear myself, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, like that's a super like I can say this coming from a place of um what's the word? Can you help me with the word? Like I have it better than other people. So, I can look for the beauty in it, whereas somebody else who doesn't have a job.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have. I mean, I don't know if privilege is the right word, but
Exactly, privilege. I'm speaking from a place of privilege
oh,
where I
absolutely.
can work from home and I can provide, I
Well,
don't
no. I
have
mean,
kids to worry about. I'm not worrying about getting evicted and being on the street. And there's so many people that are experiencing other forms of trauma beyond just the, oh, I don't get to see people.
no,
So,
absolutely. No, and
yeah,
I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier, right? That you're lucky to be where you are because
mhm.
you were able to say, "Hey, second wave is coming. I think I have a better chance of getting the vaccine in the U.S. Book a flight." And you
Mhm.
brought your dog, right?
Yes, I brought my dog. It's
Um,
been super fun.
no, yeah, I mean
So
that's
yeah, like there's so many good things that have come out of it for me. And
right.
it's that, there's definitely a bit of a just friction of guilt as
Yeah,
well as just gratitude. Um,
no, for sure. No, I mean, I've said it a billion times to my friends and even here on the podcast, but people like you and I who can work from home, who can take advantage of certain amenities.
hmm
I mean, we can sit here and bitch all day, right?
hmm
But good lord, we got it good.
Yep, we do. We really
We
do.
got it good because I mean, yeah, even the little things, right? Like in Guatemala, if you don't have money, good luck getting medicine, good luck getting
hmm
attention, good luck getting anything. At least
Yeah.
here, there's some guaranteed rights. Like
hmm
you walk into a hospital, they can't just like shoot you away, right?
hmm
They at least have to help you. So I mean, in those terms, I mean, yeah, we're very lucky here. You get to travel, and yeah, I mean, like I usually don't order food to like get delivered to my place. But I found myself ordering it a little bit more lately,
hmm
just because I know that these delivery drivers are 1,000% dependent
hmm
on that income. I don't know.
Yep.
You got to count your blessings and like you said, recognize your privilege and be
hmm
thankful because yeah, I mean you could be an indigenous person in Guatemala waving a flag and nobody comes.
Yeah. Well, and I'm complaining about like getting the vaccine in the fall, where
Right.
there's a big portion of the world population that's not going to be seeing it for a few years probably. So
Yeah, I saw a picture. I'm probably making this country up. But there was a picture and it was a truck and people opened it up and whether this is true or not, I don't know. And again, I'm not sure if it was the right country that I'm thinking of, but I'm pretty sure it was Costa Rica and they got their first shipment of vaccines. And it was literally a box that was like 2 by 2. And that was supposed to like help the entire country. And it's
mm-hmm.
like, Jesus.
Yep.
It's these pockets of the world that are just gonna have
Yep.
to suck it up. And then I heard, even here in the US, I mean, we're like way behind in vaccinations, like you were just saying, all this other stuff. And then I heard that Israel has already vaccinated 25% of its population.
Yeah,
How
but
the fuck does that happen?
that's because you can't compare the two because Israel is the size of like a city. It's not a city, but it's a very, very small population,
But did they like create their
and
own
well
little
off.
vaccine?
Like,
Like what the hell?
no, like they would maybe get in the same ones, but they have the status of a wealthier country, but with a tiny population. So,
Yeah.
it's easier to cover. Sort of like West Virginia is it's doing really well with vaccinations. They have a really small population. So yeah, it's going to be easier to vaccinate everyone in West Virginia. Not to take away credit, but it's going to be easier to vaccinate, get that job done there than California or New York.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those things that's like it doesn't make sense, right? Like if the vaccine was made here, I don't know. I would assume that we would be able to roll it out better and quicker and more efficient here, right? And then to hear that a
You have a
country
lot
on
of
the other
faith in your
side,
country, Pablo.
look, it these are human beings who know how to count and know how to make a vaccine and know how to, create an atomic bomb. We know how to do all of these things, and yet we can't roll out a
But we're so
vaccine.
political. It's because we're not all on the same page. It's all about politics. Wearing a fucking mask is political. All these other countries don't have that issue. It's you wear it. It's
Yeah.
you wash your hands before after you use the bathroom and before you eat. It's just common sense. But for some reason in the United States, that common sense factor is just not there. So without common sense, you're not going to be able to roll out a huge, huge thing like the vaccine
Yeah.
seamlessly.
Yeah. I've heard too many people and too many I heard on NPR one time that a governor in some state started selling face masks that said, fuck you to the governor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All so they could start to convince the other side to start wearing the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, it worked. We sold a shit ton and, we see him all the time. And we're like, yo, that's as long as you're wearing the mask, we don't care what it says.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why does it take, that
Has
type
to
of
be a
trickery?
fashion statement or a political statement in order to. Yep. Yep.
Jesus. So is there anything that you miss from Guatemala while you're here?
Rock climbing.
That's right. You have become a professional rock climber.
Very, very, very far from rock climbing professional, but I am completely addicted, and that's what kept me sane for the last half of the year was rock climbing almost every day. And I haven't been able to do that here. So but one day I'm gearing up. I've been doing all my shopping, so I have my like shrine of climbing gear. It's just waiting to get packed up and taken back to Guatemala so I can go crazy again. But
Wait, so one, how did you get into it? And two, where do you do it in Guatemala? Because I assume that if everything was kind of closed, like how did that start?
so I a friend had taken me outdoor climbing. It's this beautiful, beautiful location, Lake Amatitlan, and it's about 45 minutes from where I live. And there's this beautiful rock face that people have just. It's on the edge of a national park. So you don't actually have to like. There's somebody who lives at. It's kind of has a fence around it. There's a family that lives at the base. So we just like pay them, like $1 to park right by there and get in.
Nice.
But otherwise, you don't pay anything. And there's people, rock climbers, who have built like over 50 different routes along that rock face, overlooking the lake. So a friend of mine had taken me there, but in 2019, and I had fallen in love with it immediately. Like I got home and bought my own harness on Amazon. But then it stayed in its box for like over a year, and I never used it again because I don't have a car. I didn't have any way to like access it. That friend moved back to the States, so it was just sort of this thing in the back of my mind. And then in July, I think I saw something on Instagram about there's a bouldering gym that's a couple blocks from my house, and I think I'd seen a post for them. So I just randomly like not holding my breath, but just like message the owner of the bouldering gym being like, hey, like I know everything's shut down, but are you, would you let me get into the gym by myself, like behind closed doors? And obviously I would pay and stuff. So, and yeah, I was able to do it just like on a behind closed doors reservation thing.
Man,
Got my pass.
the privilege.
Exactly, yeah. So there, and he asked me if I wanted a trainer. So, so there was I got my trainer Rafa, so he was helping me out. And then after a couple weeks of training in the bouldering gym, well, not a couple weeks, a little bit more than that, a few weeks, but I had the opportunity then to go to Matitlan again for outdoor climbing. So it ended up being this, like my routine would be like 4 or 5 days a week in the bouldering gym, and then like 1 or 2 days a week over in a Matitlan for outdoor climbing. And I just did that from July to December, right before. And then when I had left, I was like, like leaving my heart behind. But for real, like it just gave me something to pour in all of that energy that like it's outdoors. So it's like I didn't have to worry about the virus so much out there. And I kept my distance for climbers, and bouldering. Like I was able to, I would go super early before other climbers, made their blocks of time in the bouldering gym. So I really enjoyed the just by myself climbing.
So when you go to the outdoor Amatitlan, something like that?
Amatitlan, yeah.
Amatitlan. I don't know anything about rock climbing. So if you had to guesstimate, I don't know, like how many stories would you say that you're climbing out there?
I cannot tell you that. I can't. I'm the worst when it comes to measuring.
Is it like climbing the Empire State Building?
No.
Or like a one-story house?
It's higher than a one-story house. It's several. It's like I don't know. It's okay. It depends on the route. But you're gonna get like 5-story to 10-story to beyond that, depending if there's more than one, if it's multiple pitch. I mean, like I said, I'm a beginner, so I wasn't doing like super. I did go on one. It was a multi-pitch, like 2, and that one was so freaking difficult. My trainer was definitely helping me up that one, but it was amazing to be just like anchored up there at the top on the edge of this rock, and yeah.
Wait, you said 1 pitch or 2 pitch? Like what is that?
So it basically means that it's like multiple routes stacked up on each other. So there's an anchor at the top of one route that you can hook yourself in along the way to keep yourself from falling all the way down. But then at some point there's a stronger anchor that's considered the top of the route. So the multi-pitch is going to be multiple routes. So you climb up like 30 feet, 50 feet, whatever, for that first route. And then you would anchor and get all your gear back, because let's see. So like the rope is going to be maybe like 70 meters. So you
This is America. We do feet.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Let's say 70 feet. So like that rope is not going to be long enough to get you up something that's 20 stories.
Right.
So take yourself in a different pitch. So you anchor yourself up to on that first pitch. You get all your gear back up, and you get there's generally like a ledge or something that you can stand on at that point, to then go on the second pitch or the third pitch, and depending on how intense the climbs are.
Gotcha. So basically it's like saying, hey,
it goes higher and higher.
It's almost like steps.
Yeah.
Like you go pitch 1, you get to the top, you regroup, you hook to the next one, and then it's pitch 2.
Yep.
Gotcha. So how do you train for that? Because like, do you like do push-ups? Like I don't know. I assume that it's all like upper body strength for the most part, right?
No, it's all of it. That's one of the things I love about it. And that's why it was really good for me for COVID. Like mentally, you have to be completely like focused on what you're doing, because you're going to be trying to step on tiny little slivers of space.
Do you freak out every time you do it?
Not every time. And bouldering, you kind of in bouldering you don't have the ropes, like you just fall on the cushions. So it's a different sensation of outdoor climbing where
Right.
you get a lot higher up on those. And the type of fall, the type of cliff that it is also makes a difference. So like if it's well, I won't get too technical into it.
No, I
Um,
mean, I'm
but
learning here.
but okay, so like there's if you're climbing, so there's a face that's gonna go. The problem is I don't know the English names for these things because I learned in Spanish. But so I'm trying to describe. So there's like you can have a cliff that goes straight up,
Uh huh.
or you can have one that's got an incline a little bit forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still going to be like really steep and slick. But that one, if you fall, you can get really hurt because you're hitting everything on the way
Right.
down.
Right.
Even though people say, oh, that one's easier because you get a little bit of gravity on your side
Mm-hmm.
for climbing. But then the extra plomo is the Spanish word for it. It was like the ones that go backwards. Um, and or like could be like a 15, 20, 30, 40-degree angle where you're climbing up and back. And those are a clean fall. So those aren't so scary. Like it's going to be, you're going to have a little that moment of like your stomach dropping, maybe depending on how far you've gone. But it's not, you're not going to get hurt with that one. So that one, climbers generally feel more comfortable. They're not going to freak out so much if they have to fall because they know they're not going to hit a bunch of things on the way down.
Yeah, I would freak out on any of those. I don't know. I don't trust myself to be like, all right, stick your finger in this tiny
Oh,
little
it's so
crack.
so amazing though, because you learn how to trust yourself and you learn how to trust your body, and you set goals. So that's where like the training comes in of you know seeing you can the best at the beginning you can see a lot of progress along the way, but learning if you're trying to step over to a different area and you can reach it with your toe and you're just like what, like how the fuck am I supposed to get my body over where my toe is, but you
Right.
learn how to just sort of like okay, then just bend that knee, and by bending that knee, which it seems like a very simple thing to do, naturally your body bends that, carries over on top of that toe, and you move your hip, you can shift your hip over a certain area, and you just learn how to manage your body so that it works with you, and things that seem really, really difficult and impossible at the beginning, you just learn these little techniques to help you do something pretty, after a couple of weeks of practicing, you're like, hey, cool, I can actually do this. And I didn't think I could. And you see that, you can feel that progress. There's that, sense of satisfaction that's really rewarding. And then, yeah, you just see yourself getting stronger.
Yeah.
But
Fuck that. I couldn't do it.
yeah, I'm really excited because I'm getting this, hopefully in the next week, it'll be getting here. It's like a hangboard, and it's for your fingers. So I have to hang from my fingers, and it'll be different. See, I got them in millimeters. So let's say like an inch. It'd be like an inch wide. That you have to like hang all of your body weight from that like 1 inch ledge.
What?
So basically, so that there's like the different widths. So you can get really bad like your
So you would
fingers
just like
get really
dangle?
bad injuries. Yeah, exactly. But you have to build the strength in your fingers, because you can get really bad injuries if you try and do it too soon from a tiny ledge. So you have to start with a bit wider and work your way up. Like for example, my trainer had me do, it's like hang for 10 seconds from your fingers and then rest for 15 seconds, hang for 10 seconds, rest for 15. And then eventually you can start working, your fingers get stronger and you can start working into smaller ledges without injuring your fingers.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and remember to one, never arm wrestle you, and two, never play what is it, thumb war.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at thumb wars. I should try it now.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
not,
gonna
not
crush
now,
people's
not
fingers
now.
off.
Hopefully, I don't. Your thumbs are actually pretty useless. In like, I don't know. I guess maybe, but your middle three fingers are really the ones that you end up using the most.
Yeah, yeah. I would have. Yeah, I don't know anything, so I'll. So maybe we can play thumb war, but no, that's awesome that you're doing that. That's more than what I'm doing.
Well, I'm not doing it now. I've gone I mean, it's been rough to motivate myself to get out there and exercise, but
But is there anywhere? So
pushing.
you're in Charleston
Charleston.
now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bouldering gym here, but right now I'm living with my dad's and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not taking any risk.
yeah. You definitely don't
So
want to do that.
once they're both vaccinated, then I might look into going to the bouldering gym here.
Hmm.
Because I can take care. I feel comfortable taking care of myself and taking precautions. I just don't want the responsibility of,
No, you definitely don't want
well,
to do
their
that.
health. So
I haven't gone home to my parents, and well, I mean, not just because of the pandemic, but for well over a year. So
yeah.
even if I wanted to, I wouldn't do it.
Well, it took me a long time to get here. I mean, to a point where I felt like I could come back to the States, and I still and taking and being, very careful about what I did before coming to state. Like I did a month with my sister before coming to be with my dad's, just for extra. I took the
Precaution.
test precautions. I took the COVID test twice while I was in Colombia with my sister, and just didn't do anything either, just so that I could, feel. And I wore a mask in the house around them and kept my distance for the first 5 days still
No,
here.
yeah, yeah, you definitely got to
It's
take
just,
care.
I mean, some people would say it's over the top, but I just, no, not when it comes to life and death stuff,
Right, and
right?
yeah, you do not want that.
On my conscience. Nope.
Yeah, no thanks. No, and I mean, if you look at the mortality rates, I mean, the older you get, the higher it goes, and the higher it goes, and the higher it goes, and it's like, fuck that. I'm not going anywhere around my parents.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's yeah, you. It sounds like you're taking this serious. You're doing everything right. I do have a
And I'm
question.
going to make the time for them. I haven't lived at home since I was 15. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm 32. So it's also been on my list of like, okay, even if it's not my own way of, my normal lifestyle, I'm enjoying getting to reconnect with my family and
Oh, that's
taking
yeah.
advantage of that. Like it's 24/7 with them. But I mean, it's like just do it all in, reconnect. So,
Yeah, and I mean, you're lucky to have that, and no, it sounds like you're having a good time. I do
mhm.
have a question though.
Yeah, what's your question?
Have you had Bojangles?
No.
Why have you not had Bojangles?
I don't want to get myself sick.
I'm sorry,
I
what?
have had cookout. The cookout was disappointing.
Really?
Yep, I
Wait,
don't know.
what? Why do you say you don't want to get sick?
For the fast food, super. I've got a sensitive stomach for all that fast food stuff. It's gonna.
Gotcha. I will admit, when I think it was my last year in college, I went to Mexico for like a month or so, maybe a little bit longer,
Hmm.
over the summer. And when I came back, the first thing I had was McDonald's because I was like, oh man, I didn't eat any junk food over there, right? It was all
Hmm.
either home cooked or street food, and you would think that street food would like fuck you up, but no, I mean, obviously my family knows where like the good spots and stuff like that. But yeah, I got back. I was like happy to be back. I go to McDonald's and I got sick. Like
Yep.
McDonald's messed me up.
Yep.
It's almost
Fun
like all that plastic food shouldn't be in our system, but
stuff. You'd think.
I don't know. It's too good to say no sometimes though. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. McDonald's French fries. That's what I was saying. Like, okay, so I with cookout, I did go and I had gone for a nice long hike and was feeling all healthy. What better idea than to go to cookout and get a big milkshake, double chocolate milkshake and French
cookout is
fries
so
because I love the
good.
French fries dipped in milkshake thing.
Yep.
These were not good,
Mm.
so bad. But McDonald's, on the other hand, McDonald's like McFlurry with their French fries. Now that's a winner. I
You
had done that after in Guatemala. I did that after one of my outdoor climbs. We were like about to get stuck in traffic, and I was like, dude, let's pull over. I want my
I
McFlurry
need
and
my
French fries.
Frenchy fries.
But that is my one weakness.
Well, if you do try cookout again, you got to get the Cajun fries. you can't get regular fries. You got to get the Cajun fries.
It had some. I didn't get Cajun fries, but it did. I think some of that spice. It tasted like MSG to me. I didn't like it.
I used to know somebody here who was like, if you eat MSG, it kills your hunger for the rest of the day. And so I'm just like, okay. And so that was like her rationale for eating, shit food. And she'd be like, oh, no, it's okay. No. I'm not going to be hungry for the rest of the day. And I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah, that's not so great.
Anyways, Emily, thank you so much for making the time.
Mm-hmm. It was my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
No, yeah, it was good catching up. And I was wondering, how long you're going to be in the U.S.?
I have no freaking idea.
To be determined.
Yep.
Life is exciting.
I've heard rumors of road trips, so if I can figure out a way
God.
there's gonna be some more consistent online access, then who knows
I'm gonna have to work
adventures,
too.
Domestic.
Yeah, I'm trying to put something together, and I've already convinced Robbie that he can at least join for a week of it. Yep. I don't know. I'm still trying to plan it out and I don't know, make it as realistic as possible. Because my initial plan was like, oh yeah, 8 weeks. I can do that. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. That's too much. I don't know. Anyways,
if you commit to it, you can do it. You probably will want to not keep going after week 5, but once you've done week 8, you'll look back on it and be like, oh yeah, I'm so glad I pushed myself and did the whole thing.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm one of those guys that just does it and I suck it up and then I bitch about it afterwards, but still.
I want to see the Grand Canyon. That's my thing.
Yeah, I have a buddy, Kieran. He was actually on the podcast earlier. He just got back from Las Vegas and Grand Canyon and all that stuff, and he took his drone out there and it was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. I need to plan something out, and I'm gonna force Robbie to join, and if you're still here, you need to join.
Sounds good.
All right, Emily, I will talk to you later, and again, thank you so much for making the time.
No problem. Good night.